Everyone, and welcome to another More Than Grammar video. Today I want to talk about when you have to speak another language but you can't see the person, you can't see the body, you can only hear the voice. So for example, if you were on the phone or if you were on Skype but there's no webcam, that kind of thing. And I want to talk about why that can be difficult, for me anyway, and also how some ways how you can improve or feel more confident and comfortable when you are doing this. So before we start, I'd like to take 3 deep breaths. If you breathe in, out, in, out, in, out. Okay, so I often find this kind of thing quite difficult because I often read people's mouths, people's faces, people's bodies when they are speaking to me. For me, that's kind of half of a language, and when you are not a native speaker, it's difficult to see these things when you are listening to someone on the phone. So that can be quite uncomfortable when suddenly half of your understanding is gone or not there. Also, I am a kind of person, I like to reach across, I like to say, can you show me what that is? I'm a lot more, I'm moving quite a lot when I speak, and I look at other people's movements. And so when I don't have this on the telephone, again, something is missing, something from my understanding is gone, and this makes me feel quite uncomfortable, quite unsafe sometimes. So one way, or 3 ways, I'd like to talk about 3 ways how I cope, how I make things easier. The first thing that I do is I very clearly have in my head what I'm going to talk about. So for example, before I call, I will write down the first 3 sentences that I want to say. So for example, my name, why am I calling, and what is my question. Maybe in terms of the language, you can prepare, you can study a bit the vocabulary first. So for example, if you're calling a bank, you can write down some bank vocabulary. So if they are talking, when they are talking, you can recognize these words. So that's the language side. You can prepare, you can write what you're going to say, you can learn some things so that you can understand the other person. The second thing is very important. I think the second thing, it's even more important to say when you don't understand, and it's more important to ask people to slow down or to repeat, and really ask as many times as you want. I don't think there should be a rule like you can ask 3 times and then you stop. If it is important, ask again and again until it is exactly perfect. And if you think the other person sounds annoyed, well, I think that's their problem and not your problem. You can explain that you are not a native speaker and that you need some time, that you need them to understand. And I think most people are human and they do understand and they are patient. And then as well, you feel like when when you have understood everything clearly, they feel happy, you feel happy, and also it's a great achievement for your language. And the third thing to know, I think, in this kind of situation is that it does get easier. So I remember when I was 16, I was terrified to speak to anyone on the phone because I didn't like it. I never knew what to say, or I would forget what I wanted to ask. And I did all these things. I wrote down exactly what I wanted to say. I asked people to repeat. And now, to be honest, talking on the telephone, sometimes it's okay, sometimes not. Of course, it's easier when I'm speaking in English. It's harder when I'm speaking in German. But it does get easier every time. I know exactly when to ask to repeat. I know exactly what to do before, so I can prepare and I feel a bit more sure and secure. So it does get easier. Maybe it's never going to be my favorite thing in the world, but it's something that I can do now for myself. I don't need to ask someone to do it for me. Yeah. So, 3 things. Prepare yourself, learn the language, write down what you want to say. Always ask to repeat or to slow down or whatever. And the third thing, know that it gets easier. Of course, I'd always like to hear from you. What is your experience talking on the phone? And if there's a particular technique or method or way that works for you, please share it with us. I would love to learn from you. And yes, and of course, if you find other people who would find this video interesting, please do share with them. And always visit my blog. If you have more questions, send me an email. I'm always happy to hear from you. Okay, so that's it this week. Have a very nice time, and I'll see you soon. Bye.